Welcome to Made in Walker, the podcast that connects you to the people, the stories, and the ideas shaping our community. From local innovators to everyday change makers, we're diving deep into what makes Walker a great place to live, work, and grow. Here's your host, Joe DiLeonardo.
Did you know one of West Michigan's most recognized pizza chains actually got its start in Standale? Well, now in 2026, Peppinos celebrates 50 years in business. And we're joined by Joe DiLeonardo to talk about the family legacy and maybe what's next for Peppinos. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so what are your earliest memories of the family shop?
Honestly, I was 6 years old when we started Peppinos. I just remember kind of in the location right there where the laundromat is in Standale, the High Tone. We were in that building, and I remember as a kid, there was no roads back there. There was trees, and me and my buddy would go there and just ride our bikes and just play around in the back. And, you know, it's just, I remember as a kid, it was such a far drive. We lived in Wyoming, and it was just, I felt like we were driving to Detroit. Like, oh my gosh, it's such a long drive. And now you think about everything is 15 minutes away. So there's a million memories. But Standale's growing. I just remember what it was then and now, and all the growth of Meijer. I remember the original Meijer in Standale when I was driving by on the corner where Walgreens is. I remember the Vista Drive-In. Yeah. I think E.T., the movie.
Yes, sure.
I remember as a kid, this is a memory I always have, is when I was driving up to Wilson, hanging a left, we'd always drive by the Vista where the Meijer is now. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking up all the time. There was a movie playing. And I always remember E.T. on the screen. Like, I just remember that. I think it was like 81.
Yeah, 81, 82, something like that.
I remember that memory and on and on. Just, that's crazy.
And for a family, growing up in Wyoming, how did they choose the Standale location to be the first place to?
So my dad, the founder, and my uncle both worked at Keeler Brass factory downtown, and they had a pizza shop before that, but then they worked at the factory and they were working a bunch of jobs. And my dad just, I'm not sure really why he picked Standale. I just know that as a kid, I remember, hey, we're opening a pizza shop, and it happened to be on Lake Michigan Drive in Standale. I remember as a kid, it had to be in the late 70s, making big orders and delivering them to the factory. Oh, yeah. My mom would work in the pizzeria. So I remember those. But yeah, Standale was it. And I think, they started, I think it was a lot, Grand Valley was college back then. So I thought, they thought, we can deliver to the college. Yeah. There was nothing in Allendale.
Yeah.
And so we just delivered from Standale to the college. I think that was a big pull. And then they ended up eventually opening the other one in 81 in Allendale. But yeah, I remember that. I remember a lot more than I thought. I'm surprised what I remember, honestly.
Yeah. And, I'm sure that when your dad and uncle opened up the business, they weren't thinking like, oh, we're going to be, in 50 years, we're still going to be here. So pretty incredible to create that legacy. What do you think it is about Peppinos that really helps sustain it through the years?
Well, a lot of it is, we've been very fortunate to have employees that have been working for us. In Standale location, I've got a group. I have Paul, Tom, and Tara have been with me for 26 years. That's huge. Before that, I was there, always there all the time, day in and day out, just making sure we continue to make everything from scratch. And to this day, I think we're one of the only pizzerias, like very few of us, that grind our own cheese and make our own everything from scratch still, our own sausage, everything. And we're just kind of stubborn. We're going to just keep doing it. So we're, pretty passionate about that.
Love that. So. It's incredibly rare to hear this about businesses lasting so long, especially in the food service industry. Yeah. You hear a lot of it now post-COVID, and just what kind of changes have you had to make and kind of roll through throughout the decades? Stay relevant. We know.
I think, some of the changes we made, which was hard for us because back old school pizzerias, we had the deck ovens in there with a stone, and they cooked pizzas, seared them on the stone. It was hot, but they were just limited to volume, and they're so hot. And back in the day when I was in the pizzerias in the 80s and 90s, we had no air, and you couldn't turn those off. So then you'd get to work the next morning and it was already so hot in there. And then the volume, I started picking up school orders and bigger, accounts like that. And I'm like, man, so our biggest thing is changing to the conveyor style oven, which they've come a long way since when we started that. But other than that, honestly, it's just, keeping good help in there and keeping committed to just making everything from scratch. We just don't sway from that. Yeah. So.
And you can tell the difference, that's very noticeable. And, was it something always that you thought you were just automatically going to take over the business, or did you have other plans? But
yeah, I think I knew in high school that I was just going to take over one of the pizzerias. I was working with my dad and my uncle Peppino, which they were partners. So he ended up taking over the Standale location. My dad opened the Allendale. So I was always working back and forth all the time. And I decided, that's what I loved. I've been doing it since I was a kid. It was just everything was natural. And I just had a passion for it. And so I was probably in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do, honestly, going forward. And my dad always I took over, I think, when I was 20 in Standale. So I've already owned it for almost 36 years myself. Ages me. But no, and then I got bored quickly and I just wanted to keep growing. And then I started to want to franchise and, people started asking about it and then, on and on. And, and now my kids are pretty much all following in my footsteps. So they're
and that's
third generation,
That's great. And it's kind of how you've evolved as well, opening up the Peppinos Hospitality Group, just expanding that way, banquet center. Was that kind of like always your vision for what you wanted to?
Not really. I think, the catering, we started Madalena's Catering probably 2010 or 11. And then down the road, my daughter now is involved and we did a lot of off-site catering and they're just like, man, this is so much work. And loading trucks and doing all this and all these people at these venues and we can do it better. And so it kind of evolved. My daughter just kind of said, hey, Dad, I want to go to Grand Valley. I want to do hospitality and this is what I want to do. So that kind of drove me to do the event center. Yeah. West Side Social, our tavern, that was my son, Anthony, which he said he was working at the pizzerias. He's like, I like pizzas, Dad, but I want to do something cool and different. I mean, not that pizza's not cool. Yeah. So he went to the, institute down here at Sekia for culinary. And then we ended up opening the West Side Social for Anthony to kind of, do his passion and love. And so we kind of, it's kind of the reason for that kind of stuff. I mean, the kids drove that a little bit. And then my family and my wife, all of them just support and help. And I mean, I couldn't do it without them, obviously. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hours and missing things and, with the kids growing up. So, but, I think now the kids understand it and they're loving it. And it's great.
You have to be a very proud dad to kind of see them go off in their specific ventures and see those flourish themselves.
Yeah. No, it's funny. They're in it and they see how much work it is and they always want to open different things. And I think they're getting to the point now where like, okay, I think we have enough. I said, yeah, let's just relax and let's concentrate what we have. It's a lot of work nowadays. Help getting the right people in, and it's hard, to hire the right people now is hard. It's getting harder and harder. Yeah. But like I said, we're very fortunate. We have great people on staff and we're only as successful as what we have as for employees. I mean, they are awesome. They're all family. So we're pretty lucky that way.
And that longevity with the people who work for you, that speaks volumes to the culture that you have. And what do you think about those family values you've been able to take throughout the decades and pass down to the next generation? What are some of those values that you hold so dear?
That's what, I tell my kids, like, guys, you have to treat everybody like family. Like your employees are super important. And that's what I've learned over the years. I've taught my kids. And I think everybody is just, value all your employees, treat them like they're literally your family and they will take care of you. And that's what I've learned over the years. My dad told me that, too. My dad always treated everybody so nice. And so he never really got upset ever. And I just watched him. And that's what I learned from my dad. And I'm just trying to pass that on and say, guys, I know it's tough, but just value everyone and know how important they are for your success. And that's kind of what I've tried to, pass on to them.
It's a fantastic mindset.
Yeah,
and now coming up on 50 years, what are some of the big plans that you have? Is it May 12th is the exact kind of anniversary?
May 12th. We're looking at, I think all the Peppinos locations, we're going to do half off all 14-inch pizzas, just from noon to 8 all day. Any 14-inch pizza, I think you can get up to 3 of them. Okay. So you can do half off all day for the 50th anniversary. Standale location, we are going to do that, but we also at 4 p.m. are going to give away 50 free pizzas. So the first 50 families that come in will receive a free pizza. So, I mean, that's kind of what we want to do. And we thought, I want to get in there and throw the old apron on and man, I can still sling. So, oh yeah.
Gil, how'd you learn that? Did you have some like flops too? I mean, is that?
Oh yeah. As a kid, like it's like anything. When you grow up in it, and I loved. It's funny. Growing up, you see pizza rolls and all this stuff in the grocery stores, and we laugh. We go, me and my buddy that used to work there, we're like, we created those things back in the day. Like it's just you grow up in it and you create all the stuff but no, it's natural to me. I mean, I still, wherever pizzeria I am, if I'm at downtown or wherever and they're busy and I'll jump in the kitchen and I'll bang out pizzas and they just love it, and a lot of the new employees will go, who's this guy? Oh my gosh. He's like, and they're like, oh, that's the Peppino or whatever they call me. And, I can make them like I did back in the day. It's just, it's like riding a bike. Yeah. And I enjoy it. To me, life gets busy with doing what we're doing. But just to sit there and make a pizza, sometimes it's just awesome.
Therapeutic.
It is therapeutic. It's just, I love it, so I do enjoy doing that. So I do enjoy it. I want to do that. Like I said, for their anniversary, I want to be there and I want to make some pizzas. And I know so many customers. And again, like my kids being third generation, we have third generation customers in Standale. And I have kids that come in and see me and they're like, hey, remember when my dad always set me on the counter and you'd feed me pepperoni? And I'm just like, yeah, I do remember that. I can't believe you remember that. It's awesome to, see that.
What a feeling to hear those stories and how you were part of family anniversaries, parties. They always had Peppinos.
Yep.
So that's pretty incredible.
We're very fortunate. And so we're looking forward to the 50th anniversary and hopefully 50 more. So, the kids are saying, hey, Dad, we're 50 more. I said, well, I won't be around for 50 more, but yeah.
But what a legacy and that name that's just going to live on now in West Michigan history. That's pretty cool to have.
No, we're very lucky and fortunate and blessed to have, 50 years under our belt. So, yeah. It's awesome.
And for businesses that are looking to you and just, maybe entrepreneurs that are looking to get started, what is some kind of sound business advice you could give to a next generation of folks that want to be successful in whatever kind of career it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the pizza business or any business. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and start a business, I mean, it's very important that you spend the first 5-10 years all in. A lot of people open and they just want to make it an investment and they just throw people in there and think you have to put your time in. There's sacrifice, family sacrifice. I mean, just, it's the only way you're going to be successful. That's what I've seen over the years. And, when we open restaurants, we just opened another one and my son he was working 100-hour weeks. And I'm like, the first month, I'm like, it's part of the game, kid. Yes. You got to commit and put your time in.
Yeah, you stick it out and, people see what special products you have and it's all going to be worth it. So.
Be committed to it and don't sway. And once you get your mindset, you want to do like we do. It's like we are who we are and everything's from scratch and you just got to stay with it. So, yeah.
Well, Joe, we're so excited that we can kind of claim you in Walker as the first location there, but really proud of what you've built there and what you all do for our community especially. And we're happy to celebrate 50 years. So congratulations,
Thank
Joe.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And thank you for tuning in for this episode.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Made in Walker podcast. If you have comments or questions about this podcast, or if you have suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop us an email at podcast@walker.city. Made in Walker is the official podcast of the city of Walker, Michigan. You can find Made in Walker wherever you get your podcasts.